Josh, what was it like to get so close to the playoffs? And you guys are one game away from the playoffs, but then to lose that game.
Yeah, obviously a tough way to end it. You know, you come off such a high in New Orleans, where we did so many things right, and you see what it takes to win a playoff game. You know, as I said, we did so many things right, and we win the game by 3 points. So we just, you know, I think the game in Minnesota, we didn't come out the right way. We didn't start the game the way we needed to against a talented team that's been there before, and they knew what it took to win that type of game. And I think, you know, on the night they were just better than us. You know, there's no excuses for that. But I think it's a great learning experience for our group because obviously that's where we want to continue to be going forward. So guys will learn from it, but obviously a tough way to end the year.
Yeah, you made a pretty big jump from year one to year two. Did that Pelicans game feel like a culmination of like all of the work that you've done?
Yeah, it did a little bit. I mean, it was obviously such a high-stake game that, you know, guys wanted to come out there and do whatever we needed to do to win the game. But, yeah, you know, the work that you do in the summer throughout the year leads up to moments like that at the end of the season when you need to win those type of games. So, as I said, it's a good – win or lose, it's a good learning experience because that's where, obviously, as a team we want to continue to get to, and the more of those games we play in, the better we'll be in them.
Every game this season, you guys have just focused on getting better with each game and each practice. Now that you have a full 84-game kind of cumulative look, what are you most proud of the growth that you guys have made this year?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, as a young team, it's easy throughout a season to, you know, we had a bunch of winning streaks, a bunch of losing streaks. It's easy to get, you know, separated when things get tough. And I think the best part about this team is we came together even more when we weren't winning games and when we went on, you know, I think out of the All-Star break, we lost 5 in a row. And we came into practice the next day like we'd won 5 in a row. So I think the best part about this group is we put the past in the past. Previous games don't matter. We move forward. So, you know, the morale's always high around the team. And I think through an 82-game season, it has to be that way. You can't, you know, ride all the highs and lows. Otherwise, you know, the mood swings that you feel a lot to handle. So, yeah, the way we conducted ourselves throughout the season, I think, was impressive for such a young group, and that's what you need to continue to do going forward.
For you and your game personally, you were playing with a lot of force and just kind of punch offensively, getting downhill, looking for those looks. Just how important was that for you and your game and your growth this season?
Yeah, I mean, spent a lot of time, you know, last offseason just lifting, getting stronger. So I think trying to use that to my advantage, obviously being a bigger guard, trying to continue to get into the paint and make plays, whether that's, you know, score, kick the ball out, just make the right read. And, yeah, I mean, I started to, you know, figure out that I'm typically going to be a lot bigger than the guys that are guarding me, so trying to use that to my advantage. But, yeah, just that's something that I'm going to continue to do this summer, get stronger, work on those things. So, you know, going forward into next season, something I'm trying to continue with.
Josh, last year and even at the beginning of this season, we were asking you and Shea a lot about, like, how you guys fit together and everything like that, and that's not even like a question now, and it turns out that it's probably a dumb question then, but what do you make of just how that partnership has sort of evolved and how you guys have just gotten so comfortable playing alongside each other?
Yeah, I mean, I said last year, I said those type of things with two guys that are pretty ball dominant, they take time, and it doesn't happen overnight. And as you've seen, it's gotten better from last year and game by game this year. Just getting more comfortable with each other, getting more acclimated with each other's games, and that chemistry will continue to grow, you know, as time goes on, as we play together more. So I love playing with him. He's obviously one of the best players in the league. So to share the backcourt with him is great. But as a young team, I think we've all done a really good job of bonding together, you know, on and off the court, which does, you know, the off the court stuff really does translate, you know, on the floor. So I think with such a tight group, you know, I think that really does, you know, help us on the floor. So in regards to me and Shea, you know, I think that chemistry's continued to get better throughout the year. You know, we've both learned how to be better off the ball, how to make things happen when it's not in our hands, being, you know, whether that's cutting or just spacing the floor for each other. But as I said, it's never about, you know, 2 players. It's always about the 5 that are out there. And this team's continued to get better and chemistry's continued to grow.
You're one of the few guys who's seen like live game action with Chet. How excited are you to get him back?
Oh, very. I mean, you know, I was working out with him, you know, through the summer, playing pickup, and then played summer league with him. And obviously was very excited to play this year with him, but injuries happen as part of sport, and he's done a great job of rehab and doing all the right things, and he looks good. So I know he's going to have a good summer, and come this time next year, come September, October next year, he'll be ready to go.
You mentioned using your size more. Did something click at some point during the season for you to say, I need to start using my size more?
Nothing. I mean, I always knew I was, pretty big, but just getting stronger. I think I put a heavy emphasis on lifting and getting stronger in the weight room, and then throughout the summer and throughout playing pickup games and preseason and summer league, just trying to test that out and seeing how it felt. And in summer league, I could kind of feel myself getting a little bit stronger. So then coming into the year, I had that confidence that I could get downhill and be able to hold my own down there. So. I think a lot of the confidence stems from lifting in the offseason and doing the little things like that. But, just understanding that, as I said, I'm typically going to be bigger than the guys that are guarding me, so trying to use that to my advantage.
What's some of the things that you want to work on, improve on this offseason?
Yeah, shooting the ball is a big one that I'm continuing to work on. Obviously, we made a jump from last season, but it's still nowhere near where it needs to be. Getting stronger. I think defensively, continuing to take another step in the right direction. Ball handling. So there's a lot of things, especially as a 20-year-old, that you have to work on. Your game's got so much room for growth. So there's a lot of things I'll be working on this summer, and hopefully continue to make strides next season.
Speaking of shooting, what was the toughest thing about retooling your jump shot? I mean, you shot that way for your whole life, and then you have to make a quick change. So what was it like? Was it the mental aspect, or was it the actual mechanics?
A bit of both. I think when you try and change something that you've been doing your whole life, it's like breaking out of any bad habit. They don't happen quick. It takes time, and for me at the start it was frustrating because I wanted the result straight away. But you have to understand that when you break out of a habit, it takes time, and it doesn't work that way that it clicks overnight, and everything will be different. And I think for me, the early days with Chip and Mike, even when we were in California in the summer, I was getting so worried about the results and the outcome right there that it was distracting me from the process and how those type of things, how long those type of things take. And even earlier in the season, I really struggled to shoot the ball, and I was in my own head. But then Chip kept reinforcing, Mike kept reinforcing that these things take time. And I think once I learned that, and once I stopped worrying about the immediate result and thinking more long term in the outcomes from the process, I think that's when a flip really switched and things started to head in a better direction for me. So as I said, those things take time, but when you're trying to break out of a bad habit, it doesn't happen overnight.
Your name has been mentioned with some of the greatest players of all time, but now Shai's name is being mentioned with some of the greatest players of all time, some of the best seasons of all time. What has it been like for you to see his improvement and his name being mentioned with guys that you probably looked up to?
Yeah, it speaks to obviously the leap he took from last year to this year. He was a borderline all-star last year, and then he took a massive leap this year and led our team to where we got to. And obviously he'll tell you that the individual stuff doesn't bother him, but the load he carried for this team this year was huge. And I think he leads by example. Guys follow his lead. And it's such a powerful thing. And I think another thing that he took a big step defensively this year. I thought he was much better that end of the floor. And as I said, that's powerful for the group. When your best player is locked in on that end of the floor, it sends a message to the team that we're not relaxing on defense. We're here to get stops and guys really get locked in. So he took a big step, and I'm sure he's going to try do the same thing coming in next year.
Shay mentioned that the team is so close because you guys are pretty much just a bunch of kids growing together. Obviously, time with the 36ers was a lot different, a lot of guys in their 30s. Just how refreshing is it to be on a group where, guys have similar interests, similar age range?
It's great. That's what makes our team so close. Everyone's a very similar age. When I first got in here, I was, 18, 19, and a lot of the other guys were 21, 22. So it was great coming into a team where it was a young group. And I think, as I said earlier, the chemistry off the court translates onto the floor. We're such a tight group on the road, on the plane. You spend so much time together, it's naturally going to be that way. But, I think the tightness of this group is going to help us in the long run and going forward.
Do you want to play for Team Australia this summer?
Yeah, I'm playing.
Have you played with a senior team yet?
When I was 16, that was my only time. I haven't played since then.
What would that mean to you to kind of represent them in the World Cup?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's always been, a dream of mine to play for my country on the biggest stage, and I think, missing out on the Olympic team, 2 years of last year was obviously tough. I wanted to be there with them, but to see them win, their first medal ever for Australian basketball was a great moment. But this summer we've got as much talent as basketball's ever had in Australia. So I think it's going to be probably the most realistic chance we've ever had to win a gold medal at a big major event. So I'm looking forward to it.
You gotta watch out for the Canadians.
Yeah, I know. I've been talking to them about it.
You still don't know where to play actually for the World Cup? There's a 3 venue?
I think it's in Japan, the Philippines, and one other country. We don't know. Yeah, where? Yeah.
Which country would you like to go?
I would love to go to Japan. Yeah.
Mark will never take credit for anything you guys do on the floor, but Jada, Shea, and other guys have mentioned how he's the head of the snake, and you guys remain poised throughout the whole season, especially considering you guys are the youngest team in the NBA. Just what is it about him that just allows you guys to follow that leadership? Because a lot of young teams just don't follow the leadership from their coach.
Yeah. He is the head of a snake. He's what we're doing here, and I think his composure and you always see him. He's always very level-headed. When games are close or whatever's happening on the floor, he's always remained calm, and I think that sends a message to the team to kind of keep that same level-headedness on the floor. And he's such a smart, for such a young coach. He's such a smart coach, and I think guys love to play with him. He's a real players coach. He gives you freedom, within reason. He's honest with you. And for me, I love playing for him. Ever since I came in here, he was honest with me from the start about how he coached, and I was honest with him about how I like to be coached, and we got on the same page really early. So to have a good relationship with your coach like that is important, because as a ball handler, and you have to be an extension of him on the floor. So we trust each other, and I love playing for him.
You guys are and still were and still are a young team that has to learn on the fly, but he's also a young coach that has to learn on the fly. Have you noticed any major growths in his coaching style?
I mean, for me, as I said, he when I first came in, he was honest from the start about how he coached, and I think for the 2 years, the best part about it is that's exactly what he told me is exactly what I've got. So I think he was obviously Coach of the Year finalist. This just sort of speaks to how much of an impact he's had on this group, and I think you look at the players that have taken leaps, but I think you got to give a lot of credit to him for what he's done with this team. To have one of the youngest teams in the league heading in the right direction like we are, he's such a big part of it, and I think guys love playing for him. Guys trust him. When he talks, most importantly, guys listen. So, he's the leader of what we're doing, and I love to play for him, and I know other guys do too.
In his tenure here so far, he's seemed like he's a defensive guy, but this year the offense took a huge leap. I mean, what was that process like for you, especially being an extension of him on the floor? Yeah,
he's very high IQ. Offensively, I think out of timeouts, out of when we run our first play of the game or whatever it is, he's always drawing something up that's good, that's really good and effective, and he understands how to get guys going. If a guy's struggling or whatever it is, he understands which buttons to push and how to get guys involved within the offense. So, extremely smart, extremely high IQ, and I think, as I said, a lot of the success we had this year, you give credit to him.
Very passionate talking about him. Is this a coaching style that's been new to you? Are you used to this type of things, or what is it? Yeah,
I mean, it's different from, obviously every coach you have is different. No coach is going to be the same. But for me, this is the coach that I've always, if I could build a coach, it's Mark. He lets me play freely. He's honest with me. He gives me feedback, criticism. And for me, I don't take none of it personally. When he gets on me, I look at it from a point of he wants me to be better. He wants me to improve, and that's a relationship you need to have with your coach, because if you're taking things personally every time you're yelled at, you're not going to get better from it. And he's great with me in that sense. So as I said, from day one, I've loved playing for him, and looking forward to next year and many years after that.
What are your thoughts on J-Dub and just from his arrival throughout the season and his continuous improvement?
Yeah, he was great. Obviously improved a lot from day one to where we are at the end of the year. Made big strides. He took on a much bigger role in the back half of the year than he did at the start. But to fit in the way he did with our group, he was basically our foreman for a lot of the season. So he took on a big responsibility on the defensive end as well. So the leaps he took, month by month, were great, and he's going to continue to, get better.
What was it like to work with Chip throughout the season?
Great. I love Chip. I'm with Chip pretty much every day. I've been with him since he got hired here all the way through to today. So, he's been great for me. He's obviously been doing this for a number of years now, so he's worked with some of the best players in the league. So I obviously trust him, with my shot and listen to him with whatever he has to say. So he's been great, and we're going to have another, good summer together.
Josh, to follow up on that, you mentioned one of the things on your shot that you wanted to adjust was the thumb flick that you've kind of eliminated. Over the course of the summer, are there any more mechanical things that you and Chip are looking to add, or is it just more repetition at this point?
A bit of both. I mean, that'll be for Chip to tell me. We'll get back together, in a couple weeks and start that process up again. So the good thing about the summer is that there's no game, so there's no pressure for me to have to go into games and knock down shots straight away. We can fine-tune different things. He can change things that he sees, and there's no pressure for me to go out there and knock down shots straight away. And the thing I've learned, obviously, from last summer, as I said, is I'm not going to be worried about, I can miss 100 shots in a row, but as long as I stick with the process, over time, I know the outcomes are going to be favorable. So Chip's a smart guy, and I trust him with his work.
Josh, you seem like a businessman. I know you're really young, so you're probably not thinking about like business deals and after your career and all that stuff. But is there anything business-wise that you may look towards in the future?
When I retire, I want to be a GM or an owner or something of a team. So I have been business-minded since I was a young kid. But when you start making real money, you start to think more in that direction. When I finish playing, whoever knows when that'll be. Right now it could change in 15 years or whatever, but right now, if I had to retire today, I'd want to be, a GM or an owner of a team.
Would it be like an NBA team, or would you go back to Australia?
I mean, it's a long way away, so I couldn't tell you right now, but I honestly I haven't thought that far ahead, but just anything to do with, running a business is something that's always, interests me.
You mentioned how good Mark is at ATOs. How much does it mean to you that he trusts you to be that inbounder 9 times out of 10 and kind of initiate that?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it speaks to him and our relationship and the trust he has in me. And obviously, we've developed some good out of bounds plays and things to get guys looks. So it's credit to him. He draws all those plays up, and all I've got to do is deliver the pass. So you give a lot more credit to him than you do to me for those.
Josh, earlier you talked about your size advantage. Low post, you had some smaller mismatches on guys like CJ and other guys with the Wolves. Is that something that you're looking to add to your game, is like a low post presence? Because you see a lot of the best passers in the league, like a Jokic, Sabonis, play out of that area.
It is. We started posting up a little more in the second half, just recognizing mismatches on different teams, and when they're trying to keep matchups, we're trying to get switches and take them to the block. And a lot of the times, if it's a smaller guy, they're going to have to send double teams, which allows us to play 4-on-3 on the backside. So yes, that's something that I want to work on this summer. Just getting more comfortable on that. Obviously, I'd never really posted up prior to this year, so just getting comfortable on the block, being able to make the right read. And I think for a guy like myself that loves to pass, it's a good place to be, because if I've got a smaller guy on me and they don't send a double, then hopefully I'm able to get into the paint and score. But if they do, being able to find the open man.
What did it mean for you to have your sister here playing at SMU, just being a little closer?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, she moved in with me, so she's got a room in my house that she's there pretty much all the time. And to have family around when the rest of my family's on the other side of the world is great. So I went to a few of her games. She comes to pretty much all of our games. She was at both these playing games. So it's great to have her around.
If you want to be a GM, what would you do this offseason?
With our team?
Yeah.
You leave that to Sam Presti, the best in the business. That's up to him.